And let's be real. In I know me, and we were talking about this before, in our early stages of our career, we are young, we're trying to earn our stripes, we are keen and eager to please. So we can sometimes come across as a little bit defensive when maybe things don't go our way or we make little mistakes here and there. And like as you grow up and you realize,
try and cover it up.
That's it.
We've all been there.
Yeah, that's it. And when you realize mistakes are actually just blessings in disguises, and you're only that's what experience is. Experience is just the amount of times you've made mistakes.
That's
literally.
so true.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And we're very. If we get the right people on the bus, the right people in the right seats, and the wrong people off the bus, then we'll figure out how to take it someplace great.
You're listening to the Marketing Mentors podcast, brought to you by RedPandas Digital. I'm Linda, and I'm joined by the lovely Tasha.
Terrific Tasha.
Terrific Tasha. And this episode, we're talking to anyone looking to build a high-performance team in the marketing space.
Yes.
And we draw a lot of inspo in this episode from a wonderful Jim Collins book called Good to Great. Mm-hmm. But today we're really going to be talking about hiring and hiring the right person for the right seat. And there's two things there. There's hiring the right person, and then also making sure that you have the right seat or you're looking to hire for the right seat.
That's it.
In the company.
Yeah. It's like that saying, don't put a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
100%. So to harp on what Linda's saying, Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, it is a fantastic book. I think it's 12 from memory, 12 core concepts he talks about.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about 3.
Yeah.
And the first one is values, wills, or skills. So with this concept, Linda, the idea is exactly what you were saying. Let's hire the right person for the right seat as opposed to the square peg in the round hole, because it's not going to work out. And as RedPandas is growing and we're continuing to grow at the pace that we're growing at, we are seeing this more and more, that we have very clear defined roles that we need to hire for. In our earlier days, we knew we needed to hire, but we didn't really know what those roles were. And so we have not even embarrassed about it, but we've hired the wrong people for the wrong roles before. We've hired for the wrong role for the right person, and
right person, but just in the wrong role.
Right, 100%. So it's you live and you learn, and these lessons are things
trial and error.
Exactly, trial and error. And one of the things we're definitely seeing, and what rings true to Jim Collins' concept of values, wills, or skills, is hiring the right person for a value, wills, or skills problem. So what's the problem that we've got within the team? What's the job that we're trying to fill? Mm-hmm. Is it a value thing? Is it a wills thing? Is it a skills thing? Yeah. And then finding the right person for that seat, essentially, for that role. So some really good examples are like you can get someone that has got the same values as yourself, as the company. Yeah. Someone that has the will. Do they have the skill? Yeah. If they don't have the skill, is it something that we can teach them? Is it worth the investment and the time in teaching them because they tick the values and they tick the wills box? Yeah. But they don't tick the skills box.
That's an important point. Yeah. If they don't have the skill, like if you've learned over time that they don't have the skill, then the important question to ask in this concept is, do they have the will to learn that skill? So can you ignite some sort of passion, growth mindset so that they can develop that skill because they in fact have the values that your company want in their employees?
Exactly. And then to the point of, is it the right person for the right job? But maybe there's a skill gap or a wills gap, if you will. Yeah. It really, I think it comes down to as well, obviously that person's want and mindset. So we look at our lead developer, for example, an incredible developer. In terms of skills, he's got them all. Yeah. To be a lead developer, not an account manager though. Yeah. And we wouldn't put him in an account management role. So he's got the right value, he's got the right wills and the right skills for the role that he is in, and he works beautifully in that role. Yeah. And we're not going to try and shift and swap and change and put him somewhere else. Yeah. Because we know we're going to end up with a misalignment of values between, him and us. Yeah. And the skill set for him to be an account manager just isn't there, and that's fine. We don't need him to be an account manager. Yeah. So it's really driving in on that, hire for the role. Yeah. What's the skill for the role? And to Linda's point, if they don't have the will, is it something, can you ignite it? Yeah. Can you put a firecracker under them and get them to be motivated and, have the will to want to do that job? Mm-hmm. We have had people in the past work here where they've had the skill, They've even had the value, but there's just been no will there.
Yeah.
And we've tried. We put the firecrackers. We've incentivized like this way and which way, shape and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it just hasn't worked.
Yeah.
And that's fine. We get it. All good.
I think this is one concept where I know we're talking from a hiring point of view, but even if you have someone and you're not sure if they are the right person for that particular role, I think this one here is important to evaluate because there are some fundamentals in this particular concept which you can't go beyond.
Yeah.
So like the values thing and the will thing. I think the values is really important. You know, I've worked with people in the past where, you know, they fundamentally don't live by the same value system as everybody else in the team or by the company. And that's just something that you can't change. It's either really there or it's not. You can't teach that, a values thing. A simple example is lying, for example. You know, if you're working with your team and, you know, they've mentioned that they've delivered something and they haven't, you know, that fundamental component there of like moral values is something that you just can't teach. So it's important to try and identify that really early on in your hiring process by asking the right sorts of questions that might reveal morally how they live day to day and their ethics.
I love that. Yeah, that's a good one, Linda. So can you give us an example of what one of those questions might be that really shows you someone's values?
Maybe asking when something went wrong in the past and just seeing how they dealt with it. And maybe it's not in a professional setting because I think maybe that's an easy example where you can kind of craft your way around. Yep. Maybe a personal question.
Yeah, okay.
Where maybe they've handled a situation or situations blown up personally.
Yeah.
And if they're willing to share that with you and also how they navigated that. Maybe something, I think maybe personal would be the way.
Yeah, okay. I think I've done many personal questions in interviews around that topic. I definitely want to give it a go. We've got a whole bunch of roles opening up real soon at RedPandas. So if you're interested, just follow us on LinkedIn and you'll see them coming up. But definitely I ask all the time, tell me about a time you made, like these are the words I say, tell me about a time you made a mistake.
Totally.
What was the mistake you made and what did you do directly after?
Yeah.
And then I'm quiet and I let them answer. And it's interesting because I know what I would say to that question because I ask it all the time.
Yeah.
And I've had it answered in different which ways, shapes or forms. But it is really interesting to see how people problem solve, number one. Yeah. That's a really good question for that.
Yeah.
But then also to today's topic is the values.
Yeah.
Do they value honesty like you were saying, or do they value teamwork?
Yeah.
Are they a team player?
Well, I guess it's also important within that question to make it relevant to the role, right? So let's say the role heavily relies on deadlines. So maybe it's more of a question around, you know, if you've had issues with deadlines in the past, why? You know, why is that arose? And then kind of understanding how they answer that, the words that they use, that's specific to the role that you're hiring as well, kind of allows you some insight into how they talk about past experiences.
Tell me about a time you missed a deadline. Literally just leaving it at that and then just seeing where the story goes. And it's really interesting, as we know, when you ask questions, you can see someone's thought pattern going down this, you know, this journey of like, they're almost reflecting. So it's a forced reflection and you learn so much about that person in that time period. And you just keep asking.
Yeah. And I wouldn't underestimate the value of that. I heard a stat recently that was 30% of new hires resign within the first 90 days.
Wow.
And it's a lack of alignment that causes that.
Straight out.
Maybe it's the job ad not being transparent enough. Maybe it's just a lack of alignment when it comes to values.
That's it.
But that's a lot of wasted resource on the business and on that person. Yeah. So I would not underestimate that. Yeah. You know, the value of the interview questions and asking personal and professional.
That's it. And that actually, on that topic, we were talking about it before, Linda, that whole idea of hire slow, fire fast. Yeah. So in a nutshell, you guys probably heard this all over the place, but hire slow. Take your time to interview and to assess and to weigh up your applicants. So you hire the right person for the right role. Yeah. But then if and when you need to fire someone or make them redundant because they are no longer a cultural fit, a wills fit or a skills fit or an issue's happened, get them out quick because that can tarnish a really good culture you're working on. Like I think that's probably the number one thing we've learned in the last maybe 18 months is our culture is sacred. We all work very hard in the leadership team to keep that culture that way.
Yeah, it's so true.
And if we don't listen to our team and maintain our team and show up for our team by firing quick the wrong people, then we're eroding our culture.
100%.
So it's important.
Yeah. I think that's such a big point, T, that not many people think of. Like, as an employer, you're probably focused on that person and trying to make that decision, but you're really not then thinking about everybody around them and how that looks to them, you know, working alongside someone who isn't pulling their weight, for example. You know, how does that frustrate the other members of the team as well? And that's also a really important point here.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's a really good, segue into this concept number 2, which we've already touched on quite a bit of it, Linda, that window and mirror concept out of Collins's book. Tell me about this concept. What do we mean by windows and mirrors?
So the window and mirror concept is awesome. I love it. It's basically when things are going right, is that person pointing out to the mirror and saying, this person helped me, this person did that, this person contributed to the success? And when things go wrong, is that person looking in the mirror and saying, yeah, I'm responsible for this? And how they talk about situations of success and failure is just so important, because it helps understand, firstly, do they have a growth mindset?
Yeah.
Are they a team player?
Yeah.
Are they on this team? Are they on the bus?
Yep.
And are they in the right seat?
Yeah.
Right?
Are they on the bus?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I know that we are like that here. Everyone celebrates everyone's wins. Like, when someone like you released this incredible website this week, and I know you project managed the whole thing, and I know you did a lot of the string pulling in the background, but the first thing you did when it went live was you did a huge thankful message to your team that helped you get that. And then I've reached out to the client. I haven't told you this. I reached out to the client and I said it looked really great. And he came back and said, make sure Linda gets the praise she deserves. So as much as, you know,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no.
That's just nice to hear on the podcast. Or you just holding that inside?
Yeah, because I was going to tell you and then I forgot. So, you know, real-time feedback. But yeah, you did
awesome.
You did an incredible job with that. So much so that and even you did the whole window concept. You said, look at my team, look what my team achieved. And, you know, the clients come back and obviously you're the face that they see. So they're going to thank you. But you're like, it was a team effort, and it truly was. It truly was a team effort.
And what goes around comes around.
Exactly.
You know, I have colleagues and they put in so much time into this project. If they don't get that praise, like, I know what it's like to invest a lot of time in something, not necessarily do it for the praise. We never do it for that reason, but it's also important to make sure that it's known that they contributed to this.
Plus, Linda's got another 10 projects coming up she needs their help with, so I better butter them up now.
What goes around comes around. Didn't I just say that?
That's exactly it. No, but in all honesty, that's just that's the way the world works.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We respect each other. We get things done together. We work hard as a team. That's how we work here.
Yeah.
I think we are very, very, very fortunate to have, you know, business leaders here that are living and breathing that culture every single day.
Yeah.
And we are all winning together. We're constantly winning. We're winning or learning together.
So true. It honestly starts from there. Like, you're so right, T. If we didn't have that environment where we were always getting praised and, you know, our efforts were always being acknowledged, if we didn't have that environment, then for sure there would be times where I'm sure we would be tempted to want to put our hand up and say, this was my project. Like, look how successful it is.
Oh, yeah.
But because we're in that safe, like, such nurturing environment, it allows us to be these leaders and to be in that growth mindset.
Yeah.
I have a question though. What do you do if you hire someone that interviews well in this respect, but then you find out, you know, once they're employed that they're quite defensive and they have that mindset? Like, what do you think of that?
Yeah, it's a good question, Linda, because I've seen it. You've seen it too many times. People interview really well. They answer all the questions right. They present really well. And then, you know, they get a role, and very quickly you start to pick up on some maybe attitude things.
Yeah.
There's a bit of defensiveness there. And let's be real. In I know me, and we were talking about this before, in our early stages of our career, we are young, we're trying to earn our stripes, we are keen and eager to please. So we can sometimes come across as a little bit defensive when maybe things don't go our way, or we make little mistakes here and there. And like as you grow up and you realize,
try and cover it up.
That's it.
We've all been there.
Yeah, that's it. And when you realize mistakes are actually just blessings in disguises, and you're only just, that's what experience is. Experience is just the amount of times you've made mistakes.
That's
literally.
so true.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And we're very experienced.
That's very
now.
philosophical.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome. Tasha's little philosophical bites for today. The question was,
it's all the stoic reading you've been doing.
There's a bit of work to be done.
Yeah.
First of all, this person's been hired now. Now, legally, if you've hired them with a probation period, obviously you have a period of time that you can really try and work on this and figure out if it's a wills, skills, or values problem.
Yeah.
And if it's one of probably the values or the wills issue, then can it be changed? Can that person be mentored and coached and guided towards where we need them to be for the role that they're in?
Yeah.
And if so, fantastic, great, let's do it. We will always assume positive intent here at RedPandas, and we'll always work with our team members to get them to where we need them to be, whether that's through more training, resources, support, time, emotional support, mental health support. Like there's so much that we can do to help you be the best that you can be at work and in your life. Yeah. Because like we say, it's not really balance, it's just presence. How present are you in these roles? Mm-hmm. But ultimately, Linda, if someone doesn't, if you've worked and you've tried and my mum always used to say, if you can put your hand on your heart and say you've done your best, then we have to move on and we have to get them out of that role. Yeah. Because like I was saying before, we can't have that wrong person in the role tarnishing a culture that we're working really hard on. Yeah. Because it will happen. Inevitably it will happen. Yeah. And as leaders, we have to show up every day aware of the culture that we're bringing into the team and know that we're working hard on this. We can't afford to have one kink in the chain. Yeah. We are a small, agile team, about 15 of us. We can manage that. I can't speak to a team that's got 60, 70, 80 people in it. Yeah. So this is really coming from a place of, we've got a team of 15. There's a core leadership team of 4. So it's a lot easier to manage and handle. Yeah. But that's my 2 cents.
I guess from there, right, it's the same concept, but what you would kind of envision within that bigger team is, you'd have your leaders that you work with, let's say as a CEO, founder, whatever it is, but making sure that you are talking about these concepts so that way they're talking about these things with their team.
And it feeds down.
It's just about distilling that.
That's it, yeah. You're right. It feeds down. Ultimately a culture, it starts from top down. Yeah. And so if you've got the right people in the right seat and we're growing the right leaders that are fueling their teams with what we're fueling them, then one would hope that culture continues and we don't have to, constantly be doing culture reworks and whatnot. But I think at the end of the day, weeds will always get through no matter where you are and what type of gardening you're doing. But
I think it's contextual at the end of the day, like with this particular concept, the window and mirror concept, I think it depends on that person. And I think this one is definitely workable. Like we said, if they're younger and they haven't had that much experience, then they're ultimately going to want to put their hand up for success and hide from failure. I think that education piece is important though. As a leader, that's where you need to show up and let them know that space is there where they can,
psych safety.
Exactly. Yeah. And encouraging that growth mindset so they feel comfortable to be able to do that. Yeah. I think that that's something that you can work through 100%. I think where you got to draw the line is that, like you said, the values side of thing and ultimately the skills side of thing. Yeah. If you hire someone for that role, they need to have the skills to be able to back it.
And like your team are looking at you to solve problems, to lead the team and to get them to take them to success with you. That's what we're here for. We're a team. We want to go there together. And if there is a weak link in the chain or there is a weed within the the flowers that is causing pain, whatever
or
that
thorns.
pain was, or thorns.
Tasha.
I like weed, but you're a weed.
I was more thinking you're the thorn, I'm the flower.
Whoops.
And then there's a weed.
Okay. Well, really, if you're a flower, you have thorns.
Not
underneath
depends
your flower.
what flower you are. If I'm a magnolia, I don't have thorns.
Oh, well, I'm going to be a flower with
you're a rose.
Thorns. I'm going to have a ton of thorns. Don't you worry. Yeah, anyway. I'm going to have a thorny rose.
Oh, man.
Just kept going.
And we're sober.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Yourself. Anyway, so our final concept from Jim Collins' Good to Great is this idea of job versus responsibility.
Talk to me about that, Tasha.
I like this one. I had a hirer. I had a boss a few years ago, a long time ago actually.
An employer.
Employer. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Yeah. And he used to say, it's not a job because a job's just over broke. I'm like, what do you mean? And JOB, just over broke. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I think I kind of get that. But it took me some years to really realize, okay, what's the concept behind this job versus responsibility thing? And it's like, yeah, cool. We all have a job to do. Yes. But if we change our mindset slightly and we look at the work that we do every day as not so much as a job, but a career, it's a responsibility.
Yeah.
It's a journey that we're on and that we're doing. And we have a place that we're going. We have a outcome that we're trying to achieve. We have an objective that we're working towards. Mm-hmm. It is a huge mindset change in how you show up to work and how you show up for your team and your colleagues and, your bosses or your whatever.
Yeah.
And a really good example is a teacher.
Yeah.
So you look at a teacher, and I can fully relate to this because I'm an early childcare teacher by trade, but I don't teach little ones anymore school. I teach swimming on some off days here and there. And when I show up as a swim teacher, I'm not just showing up for a job. And it's funny because so many parents is like, oh, is this your job? And I'm like, no, it's not a job. I actually love doing this.
Yeah.
But it's more of a responsibility. Mm-hmm. I show up because I have to teach these kids how to swim.
Yeah.
They need to, I take that responsibility. I'm like, these kids need to know how to paddle, kick a bubble. Otherwise they're going to die.
Yeah.
So it's really important to teach this lifelong skill. So teachers and coaches are really similar in that mindset. They have this autonomy and this sense of ownership and responsibility over the job that they do, the work that they're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm immensely passionate and proud of what I do here at RedPandas. And when I show up as a coach to some of my clients, as a HubSpot coach, as a account manager, or as a leader for the team, I'm extremely passionate about making sure that I'm doing my job. I'm showing up in the best way I possibly can.
And ultimately it shows whether you are a teacher, like you said, T, whether you're in marketing and your clients will notice this. It's going to show depending on how you view what you do. And not only client facing for us in marketing, but even to your colleagues as well. Yeah. We work hard. We don't see what we do as a 9 to 5. We never really do a 9 to 5. And that's okay, right? Because we're all on the same train. We know what direction we're heading in. Well, the train does the same thing. No, it just has more wheels.
I don't think trains have wheels. They're on those tracks with the line.
Oh, yeah. It's just like a track.
I haven't seen a train with wheels.
Maybe they ever have wheels?
I don't know.
I feel like they never would have.
There's some train guard listening to this who's shaking his head. Stupid.
Oh, stick to your industry.
Yeah. Anyway, so yes, we're all in the same bus.
It shows.
Moving this.
Yeah.
It definitely shows. 100%. And Linda's all over that. Like, you've got this responsibility of content within the business that is no one else's business. And you're just all over the fact that content's got to look, sound, feel, vibe in a certain way. And that's your responsibility. It's not your job, it's your responsibility. Yeah. And you see that. You saw that before that was even your role.
Yeah. That's true.
So it's only natural that is now your role.
I guess we've all had colleagues though. Like, I know I can think of some where 5 o'clock hits, the bag is being packed, laptop's closed, and you're like, what about that thing? It's frustrating, even for colleagues. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I guess at the end of the day, it's like they see their role as a job.
Yeah.
And there is a misalignment there between cultural values, wills or skills somewhere. Yeah. There's a misalignment somewhere.
You know what's interesting though, T? I will say some companies actually breed this culture.
Of clock watching?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Probably like government jobs.
Yeah, maybe.
I reckon.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen it in Friends before where their bosses are very happy with a 9 to 5, do as much as you can in that, and then go home, clock off.
Again, Linda, like I think obviously every business is going to be a little bit different. We are an agile, small team. We are embedded in the business operations and processes, like from go to like we're not startup, but we're in that we're like in the middle of that scale up phase.
Yeah.
where we're getting into the point of, okay, now we need to, and not become like clock watchers, but we've got to respect each other's time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like we're parents, we're partners, we've got family members that we need to show up for outside of work.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said before, it's not a balance, it's a presence.
Yeah.
You want to be present in those roles.
Yeah.
So we respect each other's time. But with that said, if there is deadlines to be met, like we have an accreditation we have to meet next Wednesday, and like there is a good chance I'm working most of Sunday to get through to that deadline.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I don't do it every weekend. There are deadlines we've got to meet sometimes.
Yeah.
And because we have such a fantastic culture and we have the right people in the right seat on the right bus.
Yeah.
People don't mind doing that little bit of extra here and there.
And can I say as well, I think a big part of that is also, I think it's the employer's responsibility to be able to create that opportunity where you can allow people to feel more responsible in their role.
Yeah.
And allow them that opportunity where they feel like they're actually getting value out of it. They're getting growth opportunities.
Yes.
Because if someone's feeling that way and they feel like they're contributing more towards your business, then it's going to want to make them in turn take more initiative and be more proactive
100%.
and spend that extra time.
Yeah.
So I think it's equally as important for the employer to create that space.
Yeah, I love that. And like on that note, a company's success, this is a piece of info I think I got down from the book. A company's success depends on the collective effort of all of its employees.
Yeah.
Not just a few top leaders. Like
making everybody feel responsible.
That's it. Exactly. Yeah. We've got to put that autonomy and responsibility into our team members so that they can help us get to the goals that we all want to get to.
Yeah.
And how awesome is it at the end of every month when Soph brings out the financials and says, we've smashed it this month. And that's because you sold this and you did that and you did that upsell.
True, I love that.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Like you see how I contributed. You see how you contributed. You see how this person here who might not be in sales but kept their account in a certain budget contributed.
Yeah.
And it's incredible to see the culture of like finances.
The sense of purpose that gives you.
It's incredible. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's taken us a while to get there though, everyone that's listening. Like this doesn't happen overnight. And it's not one person. This is heaps of coaching. This is heaps of mentoring. This is heaps of, Moby, Sophie, you, me, Tony's time sitting there looking at spreadsheets. How can we be tighter with this? How can we be more open with this? How do we make this more readable? So it's hard work. It's hard work. But that's the culture.
Yeah.
We work hard and we play hard.
I feel like that clocks us off.
Yeah.
It's 4 p.m. on a Friday.
That's it. We're done. Bye, Felicia. No, thanks, Linda. It's been great.
Thanks, T.